Hey guys, it's Izzy here, and today I am doing my June reading wrap-up, showing y'all all of the books that I completed in the month of June. This is like my smallest wrap-up ever. Maybe not ever, but I'll explain once we get into it. So let's get into it. More time, I am traveling a lot. It's just day trips. I don't really travel that much far distances anymore, which sucks, but I mean, it is what it is. And then so I'm not really strict with my reading because there's some days where I'm going to be out of town all day and I'm tired and have a headache when I get home and don't want to read. And so I let myself just be more loosey-goosey with my reading. I do have a TBR and I would like to read all of those books, but will I? I don't know. And I am really just taking summer to experiment with my reading, experiment with mood reading. And yes, if I mood read, I don't get anything done. I've come to that conclusion over my summers of reading. I don't read if I mood read. I am somebody, I have a strict order of things. So I only read 4 books this month, but I am currently reading 4 books and I will finish some of those before the end of the month. So stay tuned to my vlogs or follow me on Goodreads, which is linked down below. You can see my book reviews there and I will link my book reviews. So if you would like to know what else I'm going to finish, because there's still about a week left of the month, maybe a little less, I'm not sure. Yeah, when this comes out, it'll be less than a week. But let's talk about what I read. So my most recent book that I finished is The Winners by Frederick Bachman, who is one of my favorite authors, and this is one of my favorite trilogies. I finished it out, and I gave this one a 4-star on Goodreads, but I honestly think it's probably more of a 3.75 because it was still really good. It was the second book in the series is my favorite, so that was a 5-star, and the first book is a 4-star, but I don't think this one is as good as the first one, so I do think this one is probably a 3.75. And also I read the first Baritone book. I have since reread it, but back before I was doing the like decimals, not like, you know, not full star ratings. So that you have to take all of that into account because it's taken me 5 years to read this series and it's been a good time. The characters in here are some of the realist characters you will ever meet, and that means they're not perfect because nobody's perfect, and that doesn't mean they're all going to get happy endings because that's life. Not everybody has a happy ending and not everybody has the perfectly tied ending, and it just is really perfect in that way. Even though the characters are not perfect, you can just really feel for these characters all throughout the series. My favorite characters in the series were Vidar, I guess that's how you say his name, Benji and Anna. They were my favorites, but I love all these. Some I absolutely hated. In this one, there was a guy I hated so bad. I'm not going to say who because spoilers, but it's just, it's such a journey going with all these characters, and again, just so real. The atmosphere, yes, Beartown and Head are our 2 cities or 2 towns who are feuding, their rival hockey towns, and honestly, I don't understand how the people are so close-minded in the 2010s or whenever this takes place. They have social media, they have internet. How are you so close-minded that you're going to hate somebody just because of the town they're from? But then I have to remind myself, people hate people for like their skin colors and things that they can't change, nationalities, whatever. So I'm like, I guess it would make sense for somebody to hate some, like it doesn't make sense, but people do hate other people for very small things that you can't control. But it's still, you really have to suspend your disbelief because I'm like, would it really be to this extent? It's crazy. And I don't really understand that. So that was one of the biggest flaws for me. And the writing is very conversationalist. Like it feels like somebody is telling you the story. This one I did find, this is a translated piece of fiction from Swedish. In hockey, you say it's a hit when a player pushes another player up against the boards or something like that. In the translation, they were saying tackle, when tackle to me is football, when you are jumping on somebody. That doesn't really happen in hockey, so I didn't like that in the translation. But yes, very conversationalist. It feels like you're being told this story. And there is a TV show for Beartown, but I think it would be great having like a narrator, like shows like Euphoria, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the one that I really think, like Kurt Russell, that's who I like. Is that his name? Yeah, that's who I like picture doing the narration of this. And so it's like that, but it is very long, and some plot lines, so going to the plots now, like the one with Tells and Kira, there was just a lot of legal stuff and political stuff, and a lot of that just goes right over my head, and I didn't really care about that. And I saw a lot of other people on Goodreads not liking that part in the story, or thinking that part of the story took too much time. But the ultimate theme here is there is so much more to sports than just the game that is being played. There's politics, social dynamics, community that goes into sports, but also life is like a sports game. It's all just filled with moments, and sometimes you're gonna have defeat and sometimes you're gonna have victory. That's life. And I do think that is the biggest theme of The Winners and the Beartown series. I have a nonfiction book that I did do as a mood read, and that is The Spy and the Traitor by Ben McIntyre. I gave this one a 4-star. With my nonfiction books, I don't do the Call Power rating system because I've never found one that you can do for nonfiction. So if you guys know of any system like Call Pal that you can do with nonfiction, let me know in the comments below. So I give it a 4 because I did really enjoy this book. And nonfiction is only so hard to review. I'm like, I learned a lot. Yes, I did. This is about a man who is a double agent for the Russians and the British during the Cold War. And this had me at the edge of my seat the whole time, because I was like, there's no way this man is making it out alive, being involved with all these top secret spy agencies. I'm not going to tell you if he does or not, but so I was just at the edge of my seat, anxious, so worried about this man this whole book. And the writer just did a great job at making it so thrilling, because I know a lot of people think nonfiction is boring, but this one, it felt like a thriller because I was at the edge of my seat. I was nervous. So the writing in here was definitely fantastic, but this is also very dense, and a lot of people said this book was fast-paced. For me, no, it was slow-paced because I was taking so much information, and I don't know a lot about spy stuff. I have been to the Spy Museum in Washington, D.C., and I do recommend going there, and after reading this, maybe I should go back, but I don't know a ton about like the KGB, MI6. I'm not really familiar with all of that, so I was taking in a lot of information, and I do think this would have been better if I did the audiobook route, because for nonfiction, I typically do audiobooks, but since this was a mood read, I didn't do that. But my mood read now, I did pick up the audiobook because it was free. I don't know if this one is free or not, but I did learn a lot, and it was very thrilling to read about, but it was kind of dense. I want to apologize if I had lipstick on my teeth at all recording this. It's very hot here, and all my makeup is pretty much melting off my face. When it's triple digits, I don't even know if it's triple digits. I know it's in the 90s, and I have had to chase cats today. Fun. But our next one, I finished another series. This is a series where you can read the books out of order. They're all just set in the same universe, and it was a 5-star prediction for me, but it did not end up being a 5-star. I give it like a 3 something. I don't remember exactly. I'll put on the screen what I rated it. But we are talking about A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the one that took me quite a bit. It took me about 10 days to read this, and about 10 days to read The Winners. It's about 100 pages a day. No, that's not 100 pages a day. I don't know. Because this one, they're both about 700 pages in length. So, take that as you will. I don't know math. I have a reading channel, not a math channel. But this one, did I do the audiobook for this? Yes, I did do the audiobook for it. The characters, they were fine. They were good, but they weren't great. I don't think they were developed that well. There was one that I really didn't like, Esbar. I didn't like her, but she was not a main POV. That's the thing. The main POVs were just kind of flat. Glorian, she was fine, but towards the end she started to annoy me. She's basically your stereotypical fantasy heroine. Then we had our character in the East, Dumai, I think was her name. And I liked her, but I don't think a lot of her actions added up with her character. And then we have our male character, who he came in later in the story. His name is Wolf, and I liked him all right, but he was not developed as well as the other characters. So that leaves our southern plot line with Tunava, who I guess that was the best plot line. And I didn't even realize Tunava was the main character in that plot line until like a quarter of the way into the book. I thought it was about a young girl who was kind of her daughter, not biologically, but Yeah. So these characters, I thought these side characters were a lot more fascinating, mainly the mothers of these characters. I was really intrigued by and wish they had been the main characters. The atmosphere, I do love this world. I love like the mythology with the dragons and worms. I'm not sure how you say that. Those are dragons that do not have, or are they the ones that don't have feet, or the ones that, yeah, I think they're like snakes but have wings. So I do really like the mythology and everything, and I do think religion plays a huge theme in this book. And if I remember correctly, I think Priory of the Orange Tree, which is the other book set in this universe, which was a 5-star, had Bible verses for sections, the star sections. And I just think it's really how we have our 3 big religions in our world, but they all ultimately stem from the same thing, and they all believe in the same God. I think that's in this, all these religions that we're seeing with our characters all stem from the same event, but they all went about it differently. And I do think that's the theme here, is religion. So with the writing was good. I had no issue with the writing. And then finally with the plot, this was basically the exact same as Prairie of the Orange Tree. So I felt like I had read this before. They were going through the same thing, like all these dragons are appearing, we have to kill them, we have to get rid of them. And it's the same thing, just different characters. So I do think they should have done this prequel set 1,000 years before Prairie rather than 500, so we can see the foundations of the religions that I was talking about and the mythology in this universe. I think we would have just gained so much more if it had gone that route. Last book now, which was the first book I finished this month, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I did tab it, but not that much. So characters, I really could feel like you really put into these characters' shoes. Does that mean I love these characters or anything? No, but you can feel the charisma coming off of the older man who is the creep in this. And then from Vanessa, you can really feel her feelings towards other people. You can feel how she is being drawn to that man. You can feel the anger she feels towards her mother and towards the other kids her age. You can really feel her emotions, and the author did a great job with that. That being said though, I did not feel an emotional connection towards these characters whatsoever, and I think that the story this book is trying to tell, you have to have that emotional connection. Atmosphere is fine, but I think if you are a fan of The Secret History, you're really going to like this one because it's an academic setting, and yes, it's a dark story taking place in New England, and that is where The Secret History takes place as well. So if you do like The Secret History by Donna Tartt, I think there's a chance you will like My Dark Vanessa as well. As I said before, the writing was rather immersive, and it did feel long and tedious at times, even though the book isn't that long, but some of the plot points just got repetitive, and I'm like, we've been here before, why do we have to go through this again? So there's I don't like repetitiveness, and I don't like long. I'm like, get straight to the point, please, thanks. And that leads us to the plot. Since I did not feel an emotional connection to the characters, I don't really care what was happening. Yes, it was an awful situation, but it didn't have that emotional impact for me because I felt no emotional connection to the characters in the book. So if I'm not liking the characters, I mean, I didn't like or dislike them. They were fine. I'm not going to care what happens to them if I'm not connected with them. So I gave this book a 3-star, which is kind of disappointing because so many people on social media tend to love this book, and I didn't. It was just a fine time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me what books you read in the month of June, which was your favorite one. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. If you made it through this whole video, leave a beachy emoji in the comments below. I'll see you on my next one. Bye. Hey guys, recently I was invited to the Darlington County Humane Society in Darlington, South Carolina. This is Sherman, one of the dogs I got to meet. There are plenty of dogs there, and he is one of them. There are cats as well who are looking for homes. This is a shelter that is at over capacity in rural South Carolina, so a lot of these animals are very, very urgent. So I would highly recommend you guys looking at helping, adopting, fostering, volunteering, or donating. I will leave a link to their website down below because these animals, they deserve
so much, and I would just like for them to find homes and just to get help, because my animals mean so much to me, and to know they were in situations like this before, and those animals bring me so much joy, and I know that these animals can as well. So I would really, really like for you guys to help these animals. As I said, you can adopt, volunteer, or donate, foster, whatever works best for you. Even just sharing some of their posts on social media would be awesome. I hope you guys feel moved to help. Thank you.